We're here for another one, Tabernet Talks. We are here on a Saturday afternoon, and I got a really good realtor with us today. I got a person who is local. I mean, super, super local. Like this person is right on the street here, okay? All right, we're not going to the main line today. We're not going to, Center City. We're not going to New Jersey. We're not going to Delaware. We're coming right to South Philly with this one. And Capri from Remax 1 in South Philly. I didn't say her last name because everybody knows her, right? So do I need to, right? Everybody knows a realtor named Capri, and if you don't, well, you got to look her up because she has an awesome social media. We've seen a ton of her videos. She is well-liked, well-known. I've been in the business just as long as she's been in the business. I mean, she has been through the markets here, right? So she has been through 2008. She's been through the 2012 markets, which were crazy. She went through the pandemic, and now she's probably through the toughest market that I've seen over the last 2 years, and she's still here, and she's still doing it.
I might be a little bit more gray.
Right. Well, we all are, right? We're all older.
Whether we'd like to admit it or not.
It's true.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So give it the background so everybody knows who you are.
So I was born in South Philly, raised here till 6. I mean, how far back do you want me to go?
You can go, that's fine. Whatever you want to say. What am I saying?
I will say that the most interesting thing is that I was raised in South Philly, but from 6 years old, my mom moved me to the suburbs and it was like the country at the time. So every day during the week, I was in like a Mennonite type town, and then on the weekends I'm in South Philly, and so quite the upbringing. But I still have family here, and now I live about 6 blocks from where I was born originally.
Right. So you're from the neighborhood, working in the neighborhood.
Yes,
basically.
Mm-hmm.
So how long you been on Passyunk Ave for?
I opened up the Passyunk Ave at Mifflin. I opened that up in 2019. I was 7 months pregnant.
Right before the pandemic.
Correct. Yep.
Okay.
Yeah.
And 7 months pregnant at the same time.
Yeah.
Wow. So a lot was going on.
It was like, also, I loved being pregnant. I think it was one of my best years was being pregnant. I would get knocked up again just so I could do another big year.
Were you hearing that? I'm sure your husband's watching, right? So I've opened the door for you, all right? You can thank me later. Right?
He said I have to give up my avocado toast if I want another kid because I spend so much money on takeout.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Well, here in South Philly, there's one of my favorite daytime restaurants is called Ground Up, and she has the most amazing avocado toast. So I do spend most of my earnings at Ground Up.
That must be a lot of money because, realtors, you get paid well, I'm sure. So that has to be a high budget there that you're allotting for this type of food.
A girl works hard and a girl gets hungry.
Well, that's fine. That's great. But I can understand where he's getting a little bit reluctant to have a kid with you again if you stop. I'm on your side, man. See, I kind of follow you there. I'm not even going to start a fight here, so we're going to keep going. All right. So you've been in the business when? I
think I got licensed in 2004. Opened a Weikert with a new time broker. That lasted. I did my first deal. It was $52,000, and he paid me $300, and I left because that wasn't enough.
Yep.
Then I went.
Remember those paychecks?
I was like $300.
Yeah.
Then I went to I was Prudential Fox Roach at the time. I was there for a few years under Leslie Levecki and David Snyder. Okay. Loved what an amazing. Leslie isn't even in the
David Snyder of KW.
Yes,
right?
David Snyder. Right. But Leslie was my team leader mostly. But they showed me what it was like to be a real estate husband-wife team, which I didn't know then, but I know now, how to treat each other because my husband and I work together now.
Sure. Right.
And then
when did he get licensed?
He got licensed in around 2013.
Okay.
And
so
then...
It's been a good over 10 years.
Yep. Yes.
Yep.
Feels like longer.
Yeah.
And then I've been with Remax for 18 years. We just had like a happy hour of like the originals. And
how many originals are there?
So with our Remax 1, although back then it was Remax Home Experts, there are like 6 of us that have been there basically since inception. Yeah.
Wow. Have made it through all the markets and from the beginning.
Yes.
So how many people longer than you?
Most
can't
of them,
be, right?
If they were in it longer than me, it was not much longer. The owner of my company, he was also in the mortgage business. He was in the title business, and he grew up in it.
Okay. So listen, I brought you on because you are a name that is still around, right? Like you just said. And yeah, you're right. We're probably feeling a little older too, but that's okay. You look good.
Thank you.
So,
I have enough Botox in my face to choke a horse.
I don't want to know that. All right, you look good, and whatever you're doing is working. So, what with this 20 some years in the business, what's the secret to your success? Why are you still doing like? Do you feel like you want to give it up after a while now? That are you hitting a point where you're thinking that I'm getting tired and I've been in this for 20 some years, or is this another legacy of I have another 20 to go?
So it's a really good question. Last year in October, I opened up a pop-up clothing store because I thought that I wanted out. I had a bunch of ideas. Met with a friend/client who's a venture capitalist, and she said this one would be the easiest lift. So I have a clothing store online, and literally the clothes live in the back of my private office at Pashank and Mifflin.
Those boxes and boxes.
Racks, installed racks. It's
okay.
beautiful.
Okay. So you're very organized.
Yes.
Right. Okay.
So I saw a need for women to, there was 18 gyms on Pashank Avenue and no workout clothes.
There is a ton of gyms over there, no doubt.
So there was no clothes for women to work out in. So I did try other things to see if that was fulfilling. While it was really fun and it connected me with people, women like me, I didn't, I don't know if it's not real estate.
Right.
And so
you were looking for a way out of the business.
I was looking for something that made me feel good. But what it did do is reaffirmed my love for dealing with the people that I want to deal with in real estate. So I'm actually in the process of rebranding and identifying my target client. And so that's what I'm doing now. And now I'm invigorated.
So you're, and it's great that you're saying this. So you can pick and choose now who you want to work with because you've been in the business for so long, right?
Yes.
And that's the beauty of being in the business is that you don't have to chase every single client and every single deal. You can rebrand yourself and say, I'm going to just go after this client because this is who I like to work with.
That happened to me. The first time that happened to me was during the recession. It was about 2010, 2011. And I wanted to get out and I applied for a job as a manager at Lululemon and they told me I was too overqualified. And I was like, oh crap, I guess I have to stay into real estate now.
Right.
And
overqualified to work at Lululemon?
Yes, apparently. So
very weird, right? But all right, that's fine. I guess what do they want? They want
I have no, I had a lot of, before real estate, 20 years ago, before real estate, I had a lot of retail experience.
Right.
So I had a lot of experience, but they said I was overqualified. So I was like, all right. If I can't get out of real estate, who do I like working with? And that's when I started targeting first-time home buyers.
Okay.
And really, I've been targeting first-time home buyers from 2010 to now, first-time home buyers, then they turn into first-time home sellers. But what I realized a lot of times, it's just people who need, one of my ideal clients is somebody who just gives up control. Say, Capri, you're the expert. You tell me what to do and I'm going to do it and I'm going to follow your instruction.
That is a first-time buyer.
And I will pick you up and I will carry you the whole way.
That's what you want.
And I say I'm little, but I have broad shoulders. Now I'm even fine tuning it more is that I really like dealing with families. I have a family, my daughter, Valletta, we joke about getting knocked up, but that's almost impossible because we did IVF. So Valletta's a science baby, but so dealing with families that, science families, dealing with families in general, South Philly families. But it's the same concept where these people are so busy. They have jobs, they're on boards, they do charities, they have a million other things. Just let me do everything for you. Just turn over the keys.
That's great. And then you get them to closing, right? I'm sure you're out showing houses, right?
Yeah.
So that's a tough schedule yourself, I'm sure, with having a
Well, I have an amazing team. So I try to stay as hyper local as possible. Like in my world, I hate going north of Washington. So I leave South Philly for my physical therapy. I leave South Philly for Botox and I leave South Philly.
Hey, listen, You're honest. I like this. I really do. I'm liking it. Like,
Yeah,
this
yeah.
is seriously honest. Like, this is no BS. Some realtor telling me, oh, yeah, I go over the whole world. I'll drive 5,000 miles and go here. And
No, no.
You're telling me this is what it is.
We
And the only
do.
reason why I leave South Philly is because of this.
Yeah, I love this area, and I do love other parts of the city, and I do go to Fishtown, and I have clients looking, and we're under contract and with friends of my family in Fishtown. But in my ideal world, I do drop off and pick up for my daughter. So,
Which is a good feeling.
Yeah, well, we do, we walk to school, we walk home. So like I can't be spending millions of hours on the road. So I have an amazing team. My husband loves going. My husband will go all the way out to Chester County.
So he's doing the running more.
He does a lot of the running. He's also got a faster car.
Right. Right, I'm sure.
And we have some team members too that are wonderful and trustworthy. And every one of them was trained including my husband, was trained from the start by me. So they operate exactly how I would want them to.
That's beautiful. So you have total control.
Yes.
And how many you have on the team?
So there's myself, my husband, Justin Milou, and Stephanie Saracini, who now is just dropping down to part-time. But if you can get her.
Stephanie. She's very, very nice.
She's nice. She's great.
She's been with you for a while too.
She's like at 8 years. Yeah.
Yeah.
And so, and then we have we have Courtney, who's my transactional assistant. And then I have a woman named Lindsay, who is basically project manager. So she is just, she's high level management of the client's experience.
Okay. So what are the biggest challenges you're seeing right now? I mean, bring us to the front line of South Philly, Passyunk Ave. What's going on?
Well, the challenge is really the bonus for people, is that the challenge right now is that inventory is picking up in certain parts of South Philly. The buyers just have to get on board to realize these are opportunities. So
the buyers are on the fence, no doubt.
Yeah, buyers are having a hard time making moves.
And why?
I mean, maybe you can answer this better than me, but
I know the answer on my end. You're right. But I'd rather hear from you guys what you really think it is, because I think that is what people want to know. Like, they hear mortgage loan officers always saying, yeah, I know this and I know that. And they act like they're God, right? Loan officers, they get a little bit of information and they think that they're like, oh, I've come down from the mighty and I can speak to 500 real estate agents and they'll listen to me. That's great, right? I'm way beyond that. I'm not into that anymore. I mean, the information is the information that we get out. We're all in it together to close deals together. And we're all in it together to get somebody in their house. So what do you really think is the reason why these people aren't getting off the fence to buy from your point of view?
Well, for me, I have like a very distinct clientele. It's a lot of doctors, nurses, teachers, and a lot of professors. Historically, very rarely do they ever say anything, but historically, there's always a lull for me during an election year at this time.
All right, good.
It's very rare that they would say, I'm stalling because of an election, but it's always something that I notice over the years.
Okay.
Secondly,
that's a good one. It's great.
It's not science, at least not that I can pinpoint it, but I do see it.
Yeah. You know what it is? I'm so burned out. I don't even remember 4 years ago. No, I'm just
I mean,
what the hell happened 4 years ago? Was there an election?
True.
that's great.
I'm not even going to get to, my husband said, don't talk politics.
Yeah, no, it's fine. Like I said, you're allowed to say whatever you want, so it's good.
But secondly, I'm really hopeful that spring's going to be, is going to be huge. I think that good. Everybody
you do think spring's going to be huge.
It's a really good question. So for me, fall is typically slow, which I know some agents say that it's not. A lot of my clients, they don't start looking till early January, sometimes even late December. So I'll be able to see what my people are going to do, which isn't always what.
Are you the kind of agent that says to everyone, you got a hard charge from November 1st until January 1st? Are you the type of person that says you got to go all in on those 2 months because everybody else isn't working?
So I do. I mean, all the stuff that I do monthly, or my client follow up and all of that, that's systemized. So it tends to be the same thing. I'm not stress calling people when it's slow, panicking. I take that time for my family. So I know that typically my balance is that my family knows that we're going to be very busy from January 1st to some point in July. It's when
Okay.
we are all hands on deck.
Sure. Prime
And
time. Yep.
and so for us, like that's, and then from July to, July, August, all the way up until Christmas, we spend a lot of time with family. We vacation, we spend the money that we made and earned. And
See, that is great. I mean, that's balance, big time.
yeah, well, Heather Patron taught that to me because I was panicking because I thought I had to balance every day. Every day had to be a little bit of workout, a little bit of me time, a little bit of kid time. And she said, not everybody's balance looks the same. And I've been saying this is 5 years she gave me that speech. And really, I live my life by it. And it's just been a lifesaver.
You know what I see is if I do that and try to lay back and say, you know what, I'm going to just, you're right, be with my family and go away and do whatever. Then I get busy.
Yeah. Oh, well, yes, that's
Right?
the Buffini.
Then I'm getting slammed. Right?
Yep.
Everybody's coming out of the woodwork, Alex, I want to work with you. Everybody tells me you're great. What? Where have you been? All right. And why am I getting crushed now for in December or November when I wanted to chill out? Right. I wanted to hang out.
Yep.
Well, what are you going to say? No, you're going to take the clients, right? Because they were referred to you by past clients or referred to you by a good realtor like yourself. So you got to do the deal.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
that's why it's great to have like assistants and team members. Another piece of information, if for people who are listening, Mike McCann told me he had assistants before he ever even had a team. So my first assistant was $12 an hour, and she worked like a few hours every other day. Now I have two, and I think I still wish I could get more time out of them.
Yeah, you need more.
But Mike McCann had two assistants before he even had one team member. So as long as if people are calling while I'm on vacation, or that's what Buffini says is like, you want to get busy in real estate, plan a vacation,
go away. Sure.
And so, but having the personnel in place,
you trust these assistants.
Yes. So I train them. So if something goes wrong, I can only blame myself.
Right, because you train them the way that you work.
Mm-hmm.
So you feel good when you go away because you know they're going to do what you told them to do.
Yes.
Because you train them that way.
Mm-hmm.
See, I gotta realize that. That's not easy.
You have to have the systems in place before you hire anybody. So write down every single thing you do in a day, and then
hopefully the person goes along with it and says, I can handle this. Right? Because we do a lot in a day.
I've been very lucky to have people who, my last assistant for 8 years, her and I worked together. I never cried harder when she left, even with any fight of my husband's. But she wanted an easier life because it was really hard.
I mean, it's not easy, right? I mean, listen, I have people hitting me all the time. Alex, can you find me a job? I'll work with you. I'll be your marketing guy. I'll be your assistant. I'll be your junior loan officer. I'll be whatever you want me to be. I just want to work with you because I like the way you do business, and I think we could build and all that stuff. I don't think you really know like what goes on, right? So, and I've been through a number of them that are no longer in the business, and they're great guys and they're great people. But I don't think they know, right? I think you're right. You really have to write it down. Like the whole list of things that goes on in a loan officer's and a realtor's head from the morning to the night, because it doesn't end at 4:59.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't start at 8 a.m. Right? It's the job is just the job, right? It's the job, whether it's the weekends or nighttime, or you have to build your business, and in order to do that, you have to say to yourself, I'm going to be all in. And a lot of people are very hard. They get a whiff of it. And then after a few months, they're like, you're right. It's just not for them. They just can't do it anymore. So it's hard to find that person that's willing to be on board. And if you're saying you found two assistants like that, then I got to hang out with you, right? Because I don't know how you did that. It's very hard to mold them to what you want is not easy.
I think if you find somebody who aligns with your values, then and your drive, then typically I think that can come along.
Are they from South Philly?
No. So one of them wasn't born and raised my first assistant, she lived in South Philly, not born and raised. And then the second one, so as much as I hate it, I would prefer my assistants to be in the office with me because I go in every day.
So you do go in the office every day?
Yes. I love my office.
You're one of the only realtors that actually do that.
I know. Even my husband, well, he says I distract him. So,
So he works from home.
He works from home. Yes.
Okay. But you guys are both doing the same job.
Correct. Yes.
Okay.
Just as far apart as possible.
Right. You separate your clients. He separates his clients. He does his business. You do your business. Right.
I
understand.
I have more behind the scenes on that. Yeah. I mean, like, he'll take my clients or, investors. A lot of times he'll deal with investors because he finds it more interesting. It's not, it's not as fluffy. But I actually have a question for you.
Oh, boy.
So I'll sometimes have a client who goes through the process with me and they say, I want to be a real estate agent. And I always think, like, do they think that I make it look easy and that's why they want to do it? Or do they think that, like, oh, if she could do it, I could do it too? So when you said people reach out to you to become...
They do. You know what it is?
Are you offended or are you...
I'm not offended. You're right. Listen, a lot of people see me at home on a Monday afternoon at 2:00 in the backyard, right? And they're thinking, why is this guy home? Like, what does he do? Right? Like, he comes and goes as he pleases, and he picks up his kids from school sometimes, or he goes away for whenever he wants. And I think they see that and they think that they want that. They want that flexibility, but they don't know the stress that's behind my face or your face, right? So because you're right, they see the exterior and they see the social media, and it makes it look like, hey, this is great.
Yeah.
And they're doing whatever they want to do, and they're making good money, and they look good. I'm like, well, how could this be? Yes, I want to do that.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that they don't really know, and they like I said, I run into neighbors all the time in a neighborhood during the week because we come and go, and they're like, what's going on, man? It's Wednesday afternoon at 11 a.m. and the street is empty, not one car. Like, everybody's at work. Seems like everybody's been going back to the office in regular jobs, not in real estate.
Yes.
And realtors are still staying home. Loan officers won't come out of their house. They're the guys that are still stuck at home. They don't want to go in the office. So I think that's the difference, that they want to do that. They want that flexibility.
Yeah.
And that's tough.
I always wonder, I'm like, do they think that, like, oh, if this dummy can do it, I can do it too?
I don't think so, because they see that we've been in the business a long time.
Yeah.
A lot of them go through the process of actually buying a home or refinancing, and then they realize that this is terrible. Alex beat the crap out of me for every document under the sun. He told me 3 times I'm approved and I'm not approved, and then it's a mess and whatever, right? So I think that they see that too, and they're like, oh, great. I don't know if I can do that either. So I think a lot of them want to be assistants. A lot of them want to be marketers. How can I help you there?
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to be the frontline guy. You're right. Taking the stress. Maybe is there other ways that I can help you?
Yeah.
That's what I see more of.
Well, the support is always good.
The support. Yeah. They're not looking for the big bucks. They're looking for something that I guess is steady, flexible, and something that it's not too high stress.
Yeah. Aren't we all?
Right. But I mean, like I'm stressed 24/7, I feel like, from this job. Right? Even though I try to shut it off, and I'm telling you the truth, I do try to shut it off. It's always there. So
we do get paid, in theory, we get paid well enough that, like, we shouldn't have a job, like, there's with the risk of being stressed out, there's a potential reward.
There's always a reward. That's why we do it.
And the people who don't care, I don't think that they're going to earn as much over time or be as well liked or trusted. You do have to set boundaries, like, depending on your lifestyle and things like that. I do believe you have to set boundaries, but I think that you do have to care. I mean, I internalize and I digest a lot of my clients' stress, but that helps me be a better agent.
Sure. Yeah, you take it personal.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Yeah.
And that's another thing. I take everything personal.
I get so worked up when I was selling. I was representing a buyer, and there was like a tax abatement issue. And the 2 sellers, one was like the money guy, one was the contractor GC. And I, like, not physically, but attacked them because I wanted some money back. And then a few months later, the money guy said, I need you. He's like, do you remember me? I said, yes. And he says, I need you to sell my houses. I was like, what about your other agent? He says, I never want to be on the wrong side of the table from you again. And so now he's a client of mine.
Right, because you beat the crap out of him, right? There you go. I mean, you don't want to mess with Capri, I'm sure, when you're in the middle of business, because there's a reason why she's here 20-some years later. I'm sure she's fought many wars through the years, right?
Yes.
Probably countless. But that's just what the business is. I mean, you listen, if it was easy, everybody'd be doing it, right? It's not going to be easy. You're not going to make a lot of money in this country right now and it'd be easy.
No.
That's period.
There's an old like yogi saying, and I'm sure I'll screw it up, but basically, without the rough, you can't have the smooth.
Correct.
So, without the pressure, you can't have the diamond.
Yeah.
So, to get, I had to go through all the things that I had to go through in order to get here.
So listen, I have a heavily requested question that keeps getting asked of me, and I try to ask as many realtors as I can on this show this question because it's a driving question in the Philly market. Now, this is specific to Philly, this question. It's not a Jersey, Delaware question, although it happens there too. This really drives it, okay? So
you're really building this up.
right, I know.
Where do I get the best cheesesteak? Is that the question?
No. I mean, I've gotten that too. I have gotten that, but that's ridiculous, right? Come on, look around. How much? You got me laughing.
I'm sorry.
How much impact do you feel crime is on the Philadelphia market right now? Is that why things are the way they are in this business currently in Philly? Is it the crime? And I can't get a straight answer out of a lot of realtors on the show. And I'm not putting anybody down who's been on here that I've asked this question. But then I talk to a lot of people on the street and they ask me that question and they say, well, why don't you ask more realtors that question? Because it seems like a lot of them dance around it.
Well, technically, we're not supposed to talk about like safety.
Okay.
Your
personal opinion.
Well,
are you allowed to say that or no?
Well, we're not supposed to talk about safety because if I say the neighborhood I live in is Lower Moyamensing. They call it Lomo. I like to call it So Snide because it's south of Snyder. Because people are so afraid of going south of Snyder.
Yeah.
But it's an amazing neighborhood with the mixture of families.
Hears Snyder, they're like, oh,
yeah,
right.
So it's like I've lived in, when I bought my first house, I was like 22 or 23, single girl by myself. It was all I could afford this far south. And it turned out to be an amazing neighborhood where I, as a person, felt very safe.
Okay.
10 years later, I have a serious boyfriend. We buy the house 1 block away from where I was before in Lower Moyamensing. Sure. And we've been there. We've raised a family there. I'll likely die in that house. Okay. It could easily be a forever home. And I can't say as a real estate agent, I do feel, this is such a hard question.
It is a hard question.
It's an
extremely hard question. Like I've had people point blank answer the question and say yes. And they don't give me any background to that. They just say yes. Or I have other people just saying, not really. Oh, I don't see that. Or, they're dancing around it.
I mean, as real estate agents, we tell our clients, drive around, see if you feel comfortable night and day. Like there's a reason why Brewery Town is taking a dump. There is a reason why East Passyunk is very popular amongst young families. And it's where people feel secure right now. Sure. And so I feel, I don't know if it's controversial or not, but I really like what the action that Sherelle Parker is taking. I know that some people believe that she's maybe taking too big of swings or, getting a little crazy, but everybody complained before that not enough things were happening. Right. And now
she's trying to do something.
And so I am really hopeful for our city. I'm really excited. We have the centennial, the 250 year anniversary coming up. Yeah. We have the soccer, the FIFA, that's coming up.
World Cup.
So we have,
which is a big thing for the city, no doubt.
And South Philly, and also, I'm on the board of the East Passyunk Business Improvement District, and it's on our radar. It's like, what are we going to do to stand out and really try to get tourists here? And
do you see an exodus still out of the city?
But there's always somebody filling their space.
Okay. Well, I'd like to hear that.
I have clients leaving Point Breeze, but they're moving to Girard Estate. Some are moving out to the suburbs or renting out their house in Point Breeze. And so but there's always people coming in.
Okay. So they're filling the spots.
Yeah.
So it's not like they're all just leaving and you're having listings sit everywhere.
No, I mean, in certain parts of South Philly, like Point Breeze, it's the inventory's higher than it's been in a while.
Okay.
But also, people aren't, the reason why.
Well, I don't think Point Breeze is that hot of a neighborhood anymore, right?
Because nobody has to go into Center City.
Because no one's going in the offices.
When people were going into the financial district back, years and years ago, then, Rittenhouse was really popular. Then that got too expensive. Then it was Grad Hospital. And then now everybody moved into Point Breeze because it was like the bus or a straight shot into Center City.
Right.
Now there's no use for it. And then some people would consider safety an issue. And so now you have like the perfect storm of like currently a less desirable neighborhood. But when back during the recession, Grad Hospital was like this. There was a lot of, it was a bunch of brand new construction homes that people paid top dollar for next to these dilapidated properties that sat. And then people, had to short sale their homes during the recession in Grad Hospital.
Sure.
But the people who maintained them, maybe they rented them out, but the people who maintained those homes and kept them, it turned around. So I think now is a time for people to try to, if you want out, you want out. Sell at a reasonable time, in which case buyers, hello, if you want a good deal, maybe look where the inventory is higher.
Yep.
But then
Passyunk Ave is hotter than ever, right?
It's so great.
You can't even drive down there. It's getting crazy. There's people everywhere.
There's people coming in from out of town.
Sure.
We just had Fall Fest. I think it was like 12,000 people footfall.
I mean, it's crazy.
Mm-hmm.
And the restaurants are blowing up over there, right?
Top notch.
They'll keep opening more and more.
Yep, we have like a Vietnamese restaurant coming I'm super excited about in the old Paradiso.
Right.
Bucatini is right by my office, and that is at Passyunk and Mifflin.
You better slow down on the food bill. Remember now. Right? You're trying to have a kid here, right? We're not. You're going to waste all your money now again, right?
I know.
And then here you're going to be.
It's true.
1 year later, no second kid, and eating everything that you want to eat again. This is the problem.
This is the story of my life.
Right. You got to stop. All right. So good. So we know. So I liked how you answered the question too, because I thought it was, it's a tough question.
Yeah. I mean, I want to answer you as truthfully as possible.
Yeah. I mean, what parts of South Philly do you think are gaining popularity?
Well, I mean, obviously Passyunk. I love for investment. I love anything around Bach.
Okay.
So Bach was originally a vocational school.
Yep.
Lindsay Scanapico is like a young woman. She's probably a little bit younger than me.
Yep.
And she, her dad was a big time developer in the city. She took this vocational school and made it like every room in the school is some other business, tattoo parlors, hair salons, architects, anything that you want. You can eat, you can drink there. It's super fun. Okay. And one side of it, I think it's 7,000 or 12,000 square feet of the wellness center through Jefferson.
Okay.
So there's constantly people needing to live and work near Bach. And so right now her rents are very reasonable, but I have to imagine eventually like everything around it is going to just become more and more expensive because it's more and more desirable.
Right.
And so there's houses there that are still, some of it's even still considered in a low mod neighborhood.
That's crazy.
So, I mean, that's better for you to check.
Sure.
But if somebody said to me, where would you buy right now? I would probably buy in either Point Breeze. Well, number one for me would be around Bach. And then secondly would be Point Breeze.
Point Breeze. Okay. I mean, listen, and I think there's a stigma that people are trying to leave Point Breeze or not buying there anymore, but the market's
still renting.
Right, they're still going.
We have a rental property there. We've never had vacant more than a month. A lot of people who couldn't sell for what they wanted to rented their places out. We had offers over asking for rentals. So it's still a good place to invest. I wouldn't pay asking price on something.
Right. Well, obviously you wouldn't pay asking price, period. So, all right. So listen, the rates got cut a 1/4 point this week. I don't know if anybody knew that. It didn't really help us too much on the interest rates. They've been still hovering in the 6s. We have a lot of people on the fence waiting to refinance. A lot of people on the fence that are waiting to buy. They're trying to time the market. You really can't time the market, guys. I've been saying this every week. There is no timing the market. I've tried to time the market the last 25 years that I've been in this business, and it's impossible to time it. Like you might get lucky, right, and say, "Oh yeah, I knew the rates were going to go down next week," but very rare, right? You play the game of I'm hoping the rates are going to come down, and then they don't, or they do go down, and then you already bought, and so you can't really time it. These rates are still good. Rates in the 6s are not bad. I don't know why people are thinking that they're horrible. I mean, I've done rates of 8, 9, 7. So, 6% is not a horrible rate. They're saying for 2025, the rates will be 6% or lower for the whole year. No, they're not going to go to 3%. They're not going to go to 4%, but they're going to be into sixes. It's still good.
It's crazy. It's just because of what they are used to seeing. When I bought my first house, I did stated income. My first mortgage was
what year was that?
It was 2005.
2005 stated income.
And my first mortgage was over 7%. Second mortgage was over 11%.
Okay.
And I still somehow managed to accrue wealth.
Wow. See what I mean? I used to do all those stated income loans, the no doc loans. We didn't verify anything. It was fun, but then it got us into a heap of a mess in 2008, and everybody got weeded out. And you know what it is? I just kept my nose down, kept working, and you keep going, right? Even a bad market, you keep going. A good market, you keep going. You don't stop.
No, I'm not going to. I have. It's such a great time to be alive in Philadelphia. So many people are staying here longer.
Yeah.
And it's at least for the demographic that I deal with, we're families that are, moving around to bigger houses and whatnot.
Yep.
But a lot of people are staying in here, and it's so much fun.
So let's talk to the agents real quick that watch the show. The ones that are bored, they're bored of this business right now. They feel stuck. They don't know what to do now. How are they getting clients right now? What's the motivation you can tell them from a person that's been in your spot for the amount of years that you've been in it? I try to coach loan officers every day and try to mentor them to become something and work through this market that we've seen over the last years. But what do you think? How do we get unstuck right now? How do I get clients right now? What do I got to do?
Well, I think that you have to have your why, which is so cheesy, but you really need to, traveling with my daughter, the way she walks when she's in a new city in another country is just, and she's almost 5, is I think about that every day, and that keeps me going.
Cool.
Whatever it is for you, but, people, and this goes for any profession. I could make a killing selling cars, because for most jobs, I would apply the same things that I'm doing right now in real estate to another profession. Because people don't do that. It's just keeping in touch with identify your top people who refer you. I know exactly how many referrals I've gotten from every client, who referred me, when it happened. I make sure I specialize those people. If I go on vacation, I'm buying presents for every one of my top referrers. I drop it off at their house. I go and see them.
It's like a Popeye.
Oh yeah, I do Popeyes. The most successful Popeye that I had is where I tell this story all the time. So went to a client's house. She was 7 months pregnant, and I was giving her my speech on what to do now that you're pregnant, what were my favorite things. And I said, I got to tell you, when one day when I was about to right before I had the baby, I thought I peed my pants.
Okay.
I coughed or sneezed. I thought I peed my pants. Called my grandmother, told her, I thought my water broke, but really I just think I peed my pants. Well, that night, it turns out that definitely my water had broke.
Okay.
And once your water breaks, you have to go into the hospital within 24 hours.
Oh yeah.
So I told her this story just to make her laugh. Well, don't you know, her water broke 2 months early. And because I told her that story, she thought to maybe just go to the hospital.
Okay.
And it saved her baby.
Oh, that's great.
So you never know what, popping by somebody's house, or even if it's just delivering something to their home, if you're uncomfortable about making an appointment to come in, getting a few seconds FaceTime, or do things that your clients, that your ideal client or your current clients do, go to the park. If that's your, identify who
Go meet people.
Yeah. Identify who your ideal client is, and where would you find that person?
Inventory is flying up. Is that right?
It's hard in South Philly. A good house in an interesting neighborhood can still go quickly.
Yeah.
I do see, and South Philly is big. I mean, if a lot of people will consider South Philly south of Lombard, in those zip codes, or at least south of South, even though I don't really consider that South Philly.
No, that's not.
There is, inventory is picking up. Also, it's a lot of missteps, that all of us are, susceptible to, is listing too high. People ask me, are prices going down? And I'm like, yes, you see prices going down because everybody's still testing the market to see what can I get.
Right. I think that's a problem. the sellers are still not understanding that the market is not where it was,
Mm-hmm.
right? I'm
Yeah.
sure you're probably having hard conversations with these people saying, listen, it's not there. I know you want that, but
Yep.
it's just not there.
Yes. And thank the real estate gods, most of them do listen to me because they know me, trust me.
Are
like
there
me.
real estate gods? Where are you?
They
Come
are
down,
there.
please.
They are there.
Save us from what we've been through the last few years. Make it better now.
Mm-hmm.
You got to think 2025 is going to be a better year. I think you even said it earlier in the show that
I'm going to have faith. There's nothing else more I can do but have faith that it's going to be a great year.
There's going to be a lot of new realtors, I think, getting in. Right? I have a feeling.
Really? I was hoping it was going to be the opposite.
Well, it already was, right? So the last 2 years, the stats have been that a couple 100,000 realtors and loan officers have exited the business due to being so hard, with the rates being in the 7s, the 8s, and the whole 9. So I think as the rates come back down and things start to heat up again, a new breed will come back in. Okay? I know. So how do you stand out over that now? What if I was a realtor on your team? What are you telling them to stand out from newer realtors that are going to get into it?
It's exceptional service. It's doing. I can't remember the exact quote. Magic Johnson. He, if you do good, something about like doing good, and like where you can do good for charity and make money.
Yeah.
And so like I try to devote a lot of my time and my energy to doing the right thing for the community, my community, and the people around me. And so then people see she is a good person in her life. Of course, she's going to take care of me, in business as well. So just provide exceptional service. I'm always there for free advice. I'm always there to help somebody, even if I wasn't their real estate agent. I have this weird quirk of like looking people up on public record or on BRT to make sure that they have a homestead exemption on their house.
Okay.
Because, a lot of people's real estate agents don't remind them to do that.
Okay.
So,
and social media is big with you.
I
think that's the last one I want to ask you, is your social has exploded versus what it was, right?
Well, that's Lindsay. That's my project
She's
manager.
She's doing a good job. She's hired with me. All right. I'm bringing her on.
She is wonderful.
She could be a side gig for me.
She is an observer of me and then helps me tell the story of me.
Okay.
Because otherwise I would analysis paralysis on every video.
Does she do all the clips,
She does pretty much everything. Usually you can tell if it's me. It's like a obvious selfie, and then maybe I'll even put a filter on it because I'm embarrassed of,
Well, yeah, you have to do that, right?
But no, but yeah, she does most of my stuff. All of the advertisements for all of my listings. She does a lot of the videos.
That's good.
Yeah.
See, I think you need that.
I hate that you need that, but
nowadays you need it.
People have to see who you are, and the easiest way to do that, because nobody's leaving their house, is to see you on Instagram.
Especially in real estate, no one's leaving their house. I can't get any loan officers to leave their house.
I know.
They like to stay home. I mean, it's fine, I guess, for now. But I think the market will eventually turn, and you're going to have to get out.
Well, I mean,
and see people again. I mean, me and you were brought up in a market where you had to see people.
When I first started in real estate, the computer was at the office.
That's what I mean. You never had a laptop at home.
Yeah. I mean,
you had to go see people. You had to go to the office.
Yes.
How many events did you go to? Tons.
Yes. Yeah.
Right? Every other night.
You had to be somewhere. I was also 20 years younger.
Right.
But
I know. Don't remind me of that.
It's better for the economy too if people can go back to work. And I know this is like, I feel bad because I have clients who work for the city of Philadelphia that had to go back. And I know it's painful for them because childcare is different. Everything is different and more difficult. But if we can get more people back to going back to work, it will be better for the economy.
I agree. We got to get them back to work. But I think right now, if we just keep doing what we do, stay focused, you do, right? Keep your husband focused, which... you're right. Working together in the house. My wife works at the hospital. She's an ultrasound tech, but she only works 3 days a week. So the other 2 days, she's home because she's running around with my daughter too, and back and forth to school and all that, because I get crazy myself, so I can't do it all the time. So, but when you're home together, it gets tough. I mean, you work that out though, I guess, by saying I'm going to the office.
Yes. I get out of his way because I'll talk his ear off all day.
Yeah, right.
And ask him questions. I I can't give Neil a hard time. You know, he's an amazing husband. He's the best. Anybody who sees him, he's the best dad anybody could ever ask for.
That's great.
So I cannot, I mean, as much as I give him a hard time, I really can't. He makes our dinners. He cooks dinner every night for us. So I better keep my mouth shut or else I won't eat.
Neil, you're doing a good job. You're coming on the show next, Neil. All right. We're lining you up.
It'll be interesting because I trained him, but he's got like, you know, like very varying opinions. He's really great and very interesting to talk to as well.
Listen, thank you for coming on. Appreciate it. You did awesome. All right. Perfect. This is all we want to hear is what's going on the street from someone who does it every day.
I am literally on the street.
That's what I mean. You are. You're on the street, right? We don't live on the street. I hope not anyway.
No.
Okay.
Ground level.
Ground level. She is on the street though. No BS. That's what we want to hear. So, you know, hopefully any realtors listening, we can get you on here to really tell us what's going on. But I think the Philly realtors are probably the most interesting ones, or some of the most interesting ones, because they are really doing it in a tough market over here. And it's only tough if you make it tough, like you said, right? I mean, what you think or how you feel relays into your business every day.
Yes.
You know, so if you stay positive, you do good.
Yes.
You know, so
and if you're not positive, just throw some Pinot Grigio on it.
There you go. I mean, if you listen, I always say, if you're in real estate and you don't drink, there's a problem. I don't get how you do it.
If you're in real estate and you do drink, there's a problem.
There's a problem too. Well, you have a drinking problem, right? Because exactly. But you better have a drinking problem, because if you're not drinking and you're doing this every day, I don't understand how you.
I don't understand healthy individuals now.
Forget about it. We're not. That's a whole nother episode. So thanks for coming on.
Mm-hmm.
And thanks for listening, guys. We'll see you next week. This airs on Wednesday, 9 a.m. YouTube, Apple, Spotify, everywhere you see your podcast. So check it out. Capri's great, and we'll bring her back in the future to see what's going on. Maybe she'll have another kid. Who knows? And then we'll get an update from her, and we'll talk to you soon. Thanks again.